everyone! It's once a week again. TradingLink's weekly trading sharing sessions. We have a special recording time this week. It's 1:49 p.m. New York time. The whole week's disc? It's almost over, but it hasn't stopped yet. All varieties have fluctuated very sharply this week, and that includes digital currency. Non-US currencies. Very volatile. Let's take a look at Bitcoin first. The overall market volatility this week is relatively severe. And that person thought it was platitudes. An event in the market. Achieve stimulation of a variety. Reach a high degree of consensus. The market will experience a relatively strong reversal trend. Reverse trend. That would make a lot of retail investors relatively obscure. It's kind of confusing. And Bitcoin? On Monday, there has been a significant increase. Touched $70,000. Last week, our weekly summary. The advice given is at $72,000 and $74,000. Be sure to do successive position squaring. That's what you're worried about. Touched a more important resistance level. A rapid reversal occurs. That's a pity. Unfortunately, this week, touch 70,000. After 70,000 has produced a rapid reversal. Many of TradingLink's core traders in 70,000, 72,000, 74,000 made 3 batches of take profit respectively. Which one is better? When 70,000 take profit, do the second batch of positions at the same time. The third batch is this Monday. Open this Monday. A stop loss of 68,000. Stop loss with profit. There may not be a full position squaring now. No position squaring off. There are still 1/3 of the positions holding that Bitcoin. This is happening this week. First of all, it is a key technology. After all, it is an integer pass. And then there's the fundamental stimulus. In Trump's speech, strong support for digital currencies, a support for crypto assets. Then let the market, in the market, produced a particularly strong long emotion. What about this kind of long position and order difference? This kind of special time. It is also easy to produce market reversals. Then the main force will see. There are so many orders coming in. A reverse U-turn. After a reverse U-turn, there will be many market makers. There will be a lot of profit. That's true. According to media reports, this wave of liquidation has hundreds of thousands of people. So that's what we're talking about. When it comes to key positions, if you are empty, it is not recommended to do this kind of tracking and the bet against the time order. If you are a profit sheet, it is best to understand part of the position, that whole TradingLink trader. I'll have the understanding of making 1/3 to 2/3 positions, but not completely. Full position squaring from the top. Escape. Success. Gold. Our views these weeks are all breaking the early stage. After $2,450, backhand short. Then last Friday, the whole market has a deviation. Thursday, Friday. The whole of us is there to advise traders. Do a position of more than half a position. Position squaring. Because in this deviated form, if you don't leave, the overall return has exceeded 10 times. If you didn't leave, equivalent to, you made a short order at a very low price. What about the remaining positions? On Wednesday this week, Wednesday, Tuesday, closed on Tuesday, on Wednesday, also made a stop loss with profit. It's usually around 2,400. There are also departures. Stay on the sidelines. Because there is a non-farm this week? How about today? Non-farm today. We can change it to another software to take a look. Today at non-farm hour, we have done an airdrop to open a position. Why? Because in weekly level. What about this weekly line? There is a certain deviation from the 5-week moving average. It might do an upper lead callback. In that case, it is easy to get you out of the stop-loss position quickly. What about again? After non-farmers come out, there is an all-time high, a new high. US $2,520. This high point. After this high, a new high comes out. Okay, the market is often prone to such reversals. Reversal. Is the position heavy? Possible distance from our target position. The target opening position is only 30 or 40%, but the empty warehouse is still built in. Yes, it's built in. But the overall gold market is still dominated by bulls. What about this wave? Mainly to do this kind of profit return. However, the overall fluctuation within this day is still quite large. Probably have 7 times, 7 times. What is the concept of 7 times? Like $10,000. You took a 1% position. What about your day? This short-term return is just 7%. 7% gold is still based on bullish ideas. But to prevent after a lured down the oscillation, a quick pull-up. Quick pull-up. We can see in the past 2 days, gold's overall bulls are up. Still more fierce. The configuration is relatively fierce. Probably have such an increase of about 7 or 8 times. But what about the airdrop? This kind of killing is still relatively fast. What about this paragraph? It can completely go out of your cost level. But the overall idea, still based on multi-headed thinking. Crude oil on Wednesday. There was a particularly strong upswing. And what about this wire? Is it also a market consensus? Throughout the more complicated situation in the Middle East, Haniyeh, the leader of Hamas, and their chief of staff. After Dave was assassinated in Declan, what about Iran notified the United Nations? The right to adopt the UN Charter. Want to launch a self-defense counterattack against Israel? What about Secretary General Guterres? Also agrees and grants this right. Meanwhile, Iran. Also for Qatar and Saudi Arabia, there is such an announcement. That is to borrow this information. The whole reason on this Wednesday. And in the case of EIA inventory data, powerful upward rebound. But this backlash, we did a great job rescuing this week. The reason is that on Tuesday, there is a long entry at closing time, under $75. And in the early days when you open high and go high, there are 2 additions. Then close the line at the highest point. Made a full position squaring. Find out if there is a copy trader's copy account. You can see this record. That is, we are not advising traders. Do an immediate long switch. There's an OPEC meeting on Thursday. It's hard to predict whether this meeting will be bullish or bearish. And there are non-farm days on Fridays. Although this week's main, still based on the gains of this wave, but for today, the market is not over yet. Today's words, it is recommended to wait after 2 o'clock. It's probably around this location. You can do long warehouse opening. On what basis? The first is the daily level. This negative wire, it's more powerful and broke through Brin of Bollinger. Bollinger Band tracked this lower track and weekly level. It also reached the lower orbit of Bollinger Bands. But more importantly, we'll bet on another pattern on Sunday. Bet on another form. That's the whole situation in the Middle East. Will there be a big one? The occurrence of a risk event. That's very good. Let's take a look at the historical market. On February 25, 2022, conflict in Russia and Ukraine. Russian-Ukrainian conflict. After coming out, the market is also rising rapidly, and then there's a big callback. The whole swing is $10. I see. And it was also a Friday out of a negative line. But after Monday, there was an upward jump. After the jump, then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to next Monday. Just 6 days. Can we take a look? From $90 up to $134. Such a bullish trend. Then maybe this wave of bears will lose a lot. Huge losses. That wave. If you say you are doing a 73-degree long position at this moment, you can have a go at this form next week. Even if there is no such form. Next week's opening. The daily level is around 75 yuan 5. What about the weekly level? Downward 5-week moving average. Insert the 10-week moving average. It should also be around 76 yuan 6 to 77. The entire next week is also a chance to run upwards. If you didn't do this, jump up. Open high and walk high. What about next week? The first option can be opened. Rapid position squaring. The departure can also continue to go down next week. Reach the low point of 72 yuan, 5 cents and 7 cents in the early stage. Even after 71.5 yuan, do this weekly level pullback of the 5-week moving average? From 71.5 yuan, you can do about 75 yuan. This is also a multi-headed approach. The foreign exchange market. It's more complicated. Foreign exchange market. Our overall operating idea is, I have been holding an empty order for the past few weeks. There are about 10 trading days of empty orders. Empty order around 1.09 water level. It took more than 10 days, but a positive line today. All empty orders will be swept away, have been swept away, equivalent to no gain. Are you busy? But that's the market, because this week's non-agricultural data is not very satisfactory, and both the Bank of Japan and the People's Bank of China have won. The Bank of Japan has a holiday. What about the RMB? The People's Bank of China is also appreciating rapidly, so that's it. The gains in the foreign exchange market this week have not been very satisfactory. Everyone may be more concerned about Bitcoin as a whole. What does that person think? In the future, is there still a chance to break through for the last time? What about after going up this time? It may be to match the coldness of market sentiment. There will be no such intensive pursuit of orders. After going up, is it possible to have such a sharp increase? In other words, it's just a lot of long positions. What about after early entry? Is there a liquidation? The dealer is always like this, leveraging market fundamentals when the news is highly consensual. It's a lure. The action of closing a position. When all such positions released early, after being blown up, he may start a reverse market. But it's a pity. If last week's summary, when we 70,000, our price is 72,000 and 74,000. If 70,000 can leave, you might. It may be avoided this week. Such a violent bearish downward movement. Still compare. Scary. Scary. What about the whole? This week's week is like that. Overall, we're still this week. The product is better done. Gold is also profitable. What about Bitcoin? Are there 1/3 to 2/3 of the positions closed? What about the foreign exchange market? 2 or 3 weeks. A position of 2 or 3 weeks is equivalent to no gain. We also hope that all traders, under the fluctuations of this entire huge market, learn to be patient. Don't be impulsive. Don't chase orders. If you chase the order, the probability that you will definitely be covered is very high. And this short range, up and down oscillations in short intervals, it's also hard to get the list. Like yesterday. Yesterday, some customers said they were open, want to hold multiple single bottom fishing. Then we suggest at 2:30, you can eat the warehouse. We say you can get out of the stop loss. But the next day, the non-farm will see. It depends on what he can do today. Did it at 2:30 yesterday? The cost of a 76 round 3 is a stop loss. How about breaking this stop loss today? You can leave. Can you repeat this action today? A risky time next week. That overall is particularly intense in the market. Under this ultra-high volatility, everyone, don't trade frequently. Don't do counter-trend orders. Don't open positions frequently. It still operates under the condition that the market is relatively stable. It will be less difficult. So that concludes this week's analysis. Thank you for your attention.